In the history of football, violence wasn't a byproduct. It was the art form, the test of will, the measurement of pain, the edge between courage and collapse. Every collision wrote a story. Every hit carried a legacy. But a few men turned those collisions into something else, something primal, something unforgettable. They played for dominance, for fear. These are the men who made football hurt, the ones who made legends bleed, the ones who made the crowd gasp before they even make contact. Stay till the end, because what waits at number 1 is a hit that changed the game forever. Number 10. Dick Butkus. The blueprint for football violence. Butkus didn't tackle players, he erased them. He was the sound of shoulder pads cracking in the cold, the image of pure menace in black and orange. Dick Butkus didn't play football, he hunted. He came from Chicago, a city of grit, steel, and broken knuckles, and he fit it perfectly. His eyes locked on quarterbacks like prey. He wasn't fast, he wasn't graceful, he was inevitable. When Butkus hit you, it wasn't about yards lost. It was about dignity lost. He hit so hard that receivers developed short-term memory loss. They forgot to cross the middle again. He'd punch, claw, and crush anything in his way. When you fell, you stayed down. He ruled the field like a warlord. Between 1965 and 1973, Butkus redefined fear. Opponents said facing him was like being hit by a grizzly bear. Deacon Jones called him a maniac. MacArthur Lane said he prayed to survive every hit. Butkus was violence personified, and yet behind the rage was a code, a belief that the game should be played at full throttle or not at all. He didn't care about penalties, cared about sending a message. That message still echoes today. He wasn't just a monster of the Midway, he was the monster, and football would never be the same. Number 9. Jim Brown. Power disguised as grace. Brown punished defenders who dared to tackle him. He didn't run through defenses, he dismantled them. Jim Brown was a storm wrapped in calm, a man who carried the ball like it was destiny. At 6 foot 2 inches, 230 pounds, he was built like a lineman but moved like poetry. He didn't sprint, he glided. He didn't hit, he punished. Defenders say tackling him was like trying to stop an avalanche with bare hands. One arm, one shrug, and men twice his size would collapse. He wasn't just stronger, he was smarter. Brown studied defenses like puzzles, memorizing every weakness, every hesitation. He saw football as science, game of anatomy and angles. Every step calculated, every move devastating. And when the whistle blew, Brown was already planning his next assault. 9 Pro Bowls, 3 MVPs, a career that ended on his own terms. He didn't fade, he walked away, still at his peak, as if to say, I've proven enough. In an era when men played for survival, Jim Brown played for supremacy. He didn't run to avoid contact, he ran through it. And when the dust settled, he wasn't just the best running back of his time. He was the man who made power look like art. Number 8. Lawrence Taylor. The ultimate predator. Quarterbacks feared the sound of his footsteps. He wasn't human, at least that's what it felt like. Lawrence Taylor came into the NFL like a thunderstorm, uncontrollable, electric, and terrifying. Before Taylor, linebackers played within the system. After Taylor, the system revolved around him. He didn't study film, he didn't overthink, he reacted. Instincts sharper than strategy. When the ball snapped, chaos followed. He was the blur that quarterbacks saw a second too late. He hit harder than physics should allow. Tackles didn't stop plays, they ended careers. He was speed and savagery combined. One-man apocalypse off the edge. Coaches built entire playbooks just to stop him. Double teams, triple teams, didn't matter. He broke through anyway. Taylor changed the rules, literally. The league had to rewrite protection schemes because of him. Even legends like John Madden admitted that he had changed the way defenses played. He played on pain, he played on fury. When the crowd roared, LT smiled because he knew fear was his weapon. He wasn't just a linebacker, he was the predator evolution forgot to stop. Number 7. Ray Lewis. Every play was a collision of muscle and menace. He set the tone for a generation. Ray Lewis didn't play football, he preached it. Every down was a sermon, every hit a revelation. He didn't just lead men, he possessed them. Drafted in 1996, he became the heartbeat of Baltimore. Short, they said. Too small. They were wrong. Because what he lacked in size, he made up for in fury. He hit like a hammer, thought like a general, and celebrated like a man possessed. Behind those black eyes was a blueprint for domination. Lewis turned the Ravens into a defense that made history. 165 points allowed in an entire season. Records shattered, offenses broken. He was more than stats. He was energy, raw and contagious. Teammates said they could feel him before they saw him. Opponents said they could hear him before the snap. That growl, that stare. 11 Pro Bowls, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, a Super Bowl MVP that cemented his legend. When Ray Lewis hit you, it wasn't about physics. It was about belief. His belief that he owned your soul for that second. He was chaos wrapped in charisma. Even when the whistle blew, you still felt his presence. Number 6, Earl Campbell. Tacklers bounced off him like bowling pins, pure lower body destruction. They called him the Tyler Rose. There was nothing delicate about him. Earl Campbell was built like a tank and ran like one too. Thighs the size of tree trunks, calves that didn't bend. They broke. When he hit the line, defenders braced for impact and lost. You couldn't arm tackle Earl Campbell. You couldn't head on him either. He didn't dodge. He drove. From Texas to the pros, Campbell's legend was written in broken helmets and bruised ribs. In 1978, he entered the NFL and within weeks changed what power running meant. He didn't just lead the league, he led with pain. 1,934 yards in a season, 4 games over 200 yards. He ran until the defenders couldn't breathe. Even his coach, Bum Phillips, said that he's not in a class by himself, but it don't take long to call the roll. His style was unsustainable. Everyone said so, but Campbell didn't care. He was built for collisions. Every fourth quarter, when defenses broke down, he came alive. That's when he delivered the final blow. He wasn't running for glory. He was running for respect. He earned it, one crushed linebacker at a time. Number 5, Ronnie Lott. He cut off part of his finger just to stay in a game. Enough said. There's toughness. And then there's Ronnie Lott. He wasn't born to play safety. He was born to destroy. From the moment he stepped onto the field in 1981, he brought the kind of violence that left receivers hearing echoes. He didn't hit to tackle. He hit to punish. His timing, perfect, always. But what made him myth wasn't a play, was a decision. In 1985, he shattered his finger making a tackle. Doctors gave him a choice, surgery and months off, or amputation. He didn't blink, he chose the knife. That's how bad he wanted to play. That's how deep football ran in his veins. He went on to lead the league in interceptions the very next year. 10 picks, countless hits, 4 Super Bowl rings. A career built on pain, loyalty, and fearlessness. When Lott lined up across from you, you didn't think about catching the ball. You thought about surviving. He was the definition of sacrifice, a warrior who gave a piece of himself, literally, to the game he loved. Number 4, Jack Lambert. The face of the Steel Curtain's fury. No teeth, no mercy. He looked like a nightmare. No teeth, wild eyes, a grin that made quarterbacks flinch. Jack Lambert was football's boogeyman, the enforcer of the Steel Curtain, and he relished every collision. He didn't talk much, didn't need to. His presence said it all. A linebacker who hit like a hammer and celebrated like a lunatic. He came into a dynasty and became its heart. 4 Super Bowls, 9 Pro Bowls, a defensive leader who didn't believe in mercy, only results. When he played, Pittsburgh wasn't a team, it was a warning. He'd stare down running backs before the snap, daring them to test him. Most didn't. Those who did regretted it. He was called a savage, a maniac, even dirty. But to Lambert, football was meant to hurt. He believed the game rewarded the ones who hit hardest, and he lived by it. According to him, you can't take it, you shouldn't play. Simple, brutal, true. Jack Lambert didn't just defend his end zone, he defended the soul of the game. Number 3, Marshawn Lynch. Beast mode wasn't a nickname, it was a lifestyle. Oakland raised him, Seattle crowned him. Marshawn Lynch didn't thrive on attention, tension thrived on him. He ran like someone who'd already lived a dozen lives and had enemies in each. Low pad level, violent hips, hands like hooks. Tacklers landed on him and slid off like rain on stone. Then, 2011, the run that woke a city. The beast quake. 67 yards of disbelief, 8 broken tackles, a stadium's roar strong enough to tremble the seismograph. Watch it again. The stiff arm like a punctuation mark, the last cut, the crowd detonating, the camera shaking like the world finally understood. This isn't a player. This is momentum with a heartbeat. But Marshawn was more than one quake. He was a season-by-season landslide. 1,200 yards, then 1,500, then postseasons where time bent around how much he wanted one more first down. He gave Seattle identity, turned finesse into fight and fight into trophies. He made defenders ask themselves personal questions in public spaces. And the silence, the interviews that said nothing, that was part of the sermon. You know why I'm here. Actually, we did, to witness inevitability wearing 24. In meeting rooms, coaches say tackle through the runner. With Marshawn, there was no through. It was only again, and he always had one more. Number 2, James Harrison. A walking concussion protocol. Undrafted doesn't mean unmade. James Harrison forged himself. In weight rooms that looked like dungeons, under bars that bowed to his will, he recast rejection as iron. He came back to the Steelers like a storm comes back to a coastline. Familiar and somehow bigger. He carried his rage well, quiet, targeted, unavoidable. His first step off the edge was a confession. You will not win the rep. His hands were vices. His leverage, a physics lesson that ended in grass and apologies. And then Super Bowl 43, 100 yards that looked like 100 miles. He read it. He took it. A linebacker running through molasses, chased by history and 5 dying lungs, refusing to fall before the goal line. He didn't glide. He endured. Fell into immortality like a man who'd earned the right to collapse. He hit quarterbacks like the league had to rewrite the memo the next morning. Receivers learned the soft spots in zones and then learned the cost of them. Linemen felt him in their wrists the next day, and in their doubts the day after that. His brand became the offseason too. Chain-loaded dips, plate-stacked squats, feats that made your joints ache from across the screen. But the message wasn't look at me, it was there are no shortcuts to fear. James Harrison didn't take the long way to greatness. He took the hard one, and he left footprints in helmets. Number 1, Steve Atwater. The man who nearly broke Christian Okoye in half. Some hits are highlights, a few are history. This one was gravity, faith, and willpower all arguing at once. 1990, Monday night. Christian Okoye, the Nigerian nightmare, was a planet with shoulder pads. 6'1", 260, downhill like the story was already written. Now meet Steve Atwater. No stutter steps, no business decision, just a line drawn in the turf and a man willing to be the point of contact for the rest of us. They met like tectonic plates. Helmets cracked the night air. Momentum met defiance and lost. Okoye went backward, as if physics paused to applaud nerve. Listen to the sound, that rip of impact, the gasp, the disbelief. One hit redefined what courage looks like when it refuses to bargain. But that moment was a doorway, not a destination. Atwater kept walking through people and into 8 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowls, and a reel of concussions that taught receivers to shorten routes and coaches to reconsider audacity. He wasn't the tallest, wasn't the heaviest, but he was the most certain. That certainty is everything at safety. To drive on a crosser when the angle is thin, to fill against a back who outweighs you, to choose violence's exact timing and live with the story. He made giants blink, he made a myth sit down, and he made the rest of the league admit that heart, real heart, can be measured in yards lost by the other guy. Okoye remembers, we all do, because that hit wasn't about humiliation, it was about declaration. Steve Atwater declared that fear is a choice. He chose the other one. 10 names etched into the roar. 10 tempests that turned the gridiron into geography ridges of memory, valleys of silence after impact. The long plains of yards that didn't happen because someone decided they wouldn't. They didn't just tackle, they taxed. They charged interest on ambition. They made the ball carrier count the cost and pay in full. This is the lineage of force. From Butkus to Atwater, from the first step to the final whistle. A reminder that greatness in this game is not whispered, it's collided.